welcome to another lawnfawn video. It's Kelly here, and today we are introducing our brand new paper collection, Bitsy Blooms. We're also introducing 2 new washi tapes and our butterfly border too, which is such a gorgeous die. So let's go ahead and check this all out. First up, we have the Bitsy Blooms collection. I love this paper collection so much. It comes in both the 12 by 12 size and the 6 by 6 size. In the 12 by 12 size, we have the paper in a collection pack, which means you get 2 of each paper for a total of 12 papers. We also have the papers individually in packs, so you could get 12 of just one paper. So if you had a favorite paper or paper you wanted to use maybe for some invitations or to mass produce cards, you could just get a pack of the pink paper or the blue paper, etc. Here is a look at each of the individual papers. This is the primrose paper, which is a pretty pink with these cute white daisies on it. And on the back of all these papers, we have this great coordinating plaid in these soft colors, which is just so beautiful. Then next up, we have the daisy paper, and I just love this paper. It has this soft yellow with these little yellow daisies on it. And then on the back, we have a yellow plaid that is a perfect mix and match for all of these different patterns. Next up, we have the baby's breath paper, and I love this paper because both sides are perfect for grass and cute scenes on cards. I just love the plaid, and I love the one with all the little flowers on it. This is begonia, which has this beautiful turquoise background and these white daisies scattered all about. And then, of course, on the back, we have this beautiful turquoise plaid that is just stunning, and I love using it for skies on cards. Next up, we have my personal favorite paper. This is the Forget-Me-Not paper, and this blue with the white daisies, I am just in love with this. And then, of course, on the back, we have that beautiful blue plaid, and I like using this one for skies as well. I actually really like using the daisy paper as a sky, too. And then to go along with all these papers, we have a rainbowy one. So this is our pansy paper. It has all these different flowers and all of the colors of the collection, and then you can see that we have that rainbow plaid on the back that is so pretty. And here is a look at the papers all together. You can see how easy they are to mix and match together. The plaids with all the floral prints together look absolutely beautiful, and these look great used on their own, mixed and matched with colors of cardstock as well. So these papers just make me so happy, and they are so perfect for spring. Now next up, we have the 6 by 6 pad, and the 6 by 6 pad has the same patterns, but they're reduced by about 50%. And you can see that we have 36 sheets in a pad, so in every pad there are 3 of each design, which is awesome. I love these smaller patterns. I love mixing and matching the 12 by 12 and the 6 by 6. It really depends on the project that I'm making, but the tiny little flowers, oh my gosh, they are just so cute. And here you can see how the designs here repeat in the pad and that you get 3 of each, which is so great because you don't have to hoard one design because you know you have some others that are going to be waiting for your next perfect project. Now here we have a comparison between the 12 by 12 and the 6 by 6. And I always love to see this because you can see the scale difference and how one could work for one type of project or another could work for the other. Here we have it in the flowers, and then here is a comparison of the plaids. And so I love having the options of the 2 different scales and the bigger and smaller papers. Next up, we have 2 new washi tapes. We have our Little Chicks washi tape and our Rainbow Diagonal Stripes washi tape. And these tapes are so cute. Here you can see the adorable little eggs and the little chicks. It's just so perfect for Easter and spring. I love them so much. You can see that we have a really long design, so all the little chicks are doing something different, and I love seeing what each one is up to. And then for this rainbow stripe, oh my gosh, it is just so much fun. These colors are just gorgeous. I love using this on the side of my cards, like peeking out on the side as a little rainbow. I love using these on my envelopes, on tags, or to decorate a present as well. Washi tape is just so much fun. Next up, we're going to take a look at the butterfly border. And here you can see it has the outline of the butterflies, the solid butterflies, and then it also has an individual butterfly in both the solid and the outline. So you can have your border and also cute little individual butterflies too. And then it has those little butterfly bodies that you can layer over top. So for this one here, we die cut the base out of our Rainbow Ever After paper, which has this beautiful gradient on it. We use the 12 by 12 paper there. And you can see that the butterflies are beautiful just in the solid, or you can layer this beautiful little kind of outline detail on top. So you could use each one of those separately, the solid and the outline, or you can layer them on top of each other. And the same goes for the individual butterfly as well. So you can use the solid all by itself, or you can layer the outline on top. And then the little butterfly bodies, you can either add them or not. So it just kind of depends. You could also take the little butterfly bodies and just layer them onto the plain solid butterfly too, which is a fun look as well. And so that's what we're going to do here across the border, just adding a little drop of glue in the center of each of the little butterfly bodies, and then we can layer the detail right on top. And I think this border is just so beautiful. It's so perfect for spring. It could make beautiful, quick and easy cards with just a border and a sentiment, or you could bring in your favorite stamp sets or your favorite die cuts to mix and match with them. And next up, Shari is going to create this gorgeous butterfly card. So take it away, Shari.
So I'm going to create a soft rainbow butterfly border for my card today. I have a piece of speckled eggshell cardstock and I'm going to ink blend a rainbow across it. It is much longer than I need it to be, but I'm going to cut multiple borders out of this one piece of cardstock. I'm starting out with wild rose ink for my pink color, moving on to peach fuzz for my orange. Next, I'm going to pull in butter for my yellow. This is a really light yellow color, but it looks so pretty on this speckled eggshell cardstock. For my green, I'm using celery stick ink, which is that really pretty light green. For my blue or my teal or aqua color, I will be using merman. And then for my final color, my purple, I'll be using lavender. And look at how pretty this rainbow is. There's something magical about ink blending on speckled eggshell to me. I'm adding some champagne gold splatters. These are very pale gold. They're not very yellowy, but they have this nice soft look to them, and they're going to go perfect with the champagne metallic cardstock I'm going to use. So once those splatters are nice and dry, I'm going to cut out quite a few borders. I am not going to use all of them, but you can see I turned my die this way and that so that I went from red to purple and then I went from purple to red. And I'm using the little extra pieces to cut out some single ones. For the overlay border, I'm using some champagne metallic cardstock and it is so pretty. This turned out so lovely when I layered this over those rainbow butterflies. I was so excited once I saw it. So for each of these, I'm just adding a dot of glue to the center. That's going to hold it in place enough for this card. I'm not going to worry about doing the outside edges because that metallic cardstock is nice and thick. So I'm laying my block on there so that can dry nice and flat. And I'm doing the same for another butterfly border. And as you can see, these are both opposite in the way that the colors go. I do have 3 little single ones that I'm going to use on this card as well. And I am going to glue these right in the center too because I want to actually kind of bend these up. And I'll show you that here in a little bit when I start to assemble my card. Now for these butterflies, I'm just going to leave them as they are because I think they are beautiful. I'm not actually going to add the body to the card. I have a card base here that is cut from some speckled eggshell cardstock, which is that nice soft natural color. This is the way I want my borders to look, and I'm just going to hold them together as one piece with a little bit of removable Scotch tape. So I'll add this piece of speckled eggshell paper to a card base. You could also make the whole card base out of this if you wanted. And then I can add my butterflies along the bottom. I am going to pop these up so we have some really nice dimension. And I'm using a thin foam strip to do this just by adding a strip through the center of my butterflies. When I get to the butterflies on the sides, I am laying this onto my card base to kind of see what's going to hang off and what is going to be adhered to the card base. That way I can avoid the part that I'm cutting off with the foam adhesive. So now I can pull off all those little liner papers and line this up on my card. Now that purple butterfly that's on the top row on the far left, it was right on the edge of my cardstock when I cut it out. And I'm just going to take that straight edge of the purple and line it up with the edge of my card. I'll pull off that removable tape and now I can take a pair of scissors and trim off the excess that is overhanging. I really love how these butterfly borders can kind of nest inside each other and you can use multiples together. It would be really pretty to cover a whole background with butterflies. Now the thought here is these little single butterflies are flying up on the right side from the butterfly border. I have two pinky colored ones and one purple, so I'm just going to vary which ones go where. I'm adding a dot of glue and gluing this directly to the base, and then what I'm going to do is hold this in place with my tweezers right in the center and kind of use my fingers to curl up the wings like they're flying. And since I only glued the centers, I can kind of separate the frame. You can see here I'm doing that before I glue it down so you can kind of see what it looks like. And you get this really cool look of like double layered wings. So I'll add the purple butterfly, and then for the last little butterfly up here, I'm just going to put it right at the top edge, kind of overhanging even just a little bit. I didn't really want to cut him off, but I wanted it to look like the butterflies were flying up and off of the card. I wanted to keep the sentiment very simple, so I'm using long distance hugs. It has that really cute scripty hugs, and we're just going to stamp the sentiment sending hugs up here on the left corner. And I'm going to use a lighter ink for this because I have all these soft colors happening. So I am using some Narwhal ink for my sentiment. For the embellishments, I thought about looking at my sequins and seeing if I had any matte sequins versus super shiny ones, but then I remembered I could use the sequin mix dye and create custom sequins that match my butterflies perfectly. So I cut out some of the medium circle sequins and the small circle sequins from the champagne metallic cardstock, and I will just use these as my embellishments on my card and they will match my project perfectly. I always like to play around with placement and be able to move them around, tuck them into corners and stuff. And then once I get the layout of the sequins the way I want them, I will just go through and pick each one up and add them with a dot of glue in their permanent position. And then here is my finished card. I just love the soft colors of those butterflies, and that champagne metallic cardstock layered on top is just so beautiful.
Oh my goodness, Shari, this card is so gorgeous. The inking behind the butterflies, oh, it's just so beautiful. And so next up, I'm going to be recreating a card by Audrey that has some watercolor. And so it's a fun way to add color as well. And so I went ahead and die cut some distressed watercolor cardstock. Any watercolor cardstock could work with a largest of the outside in stitched rectangles. That's going to give me a 4" by 5¼ inch square. And then here you can see I have my little helper Miles, and I went ahead and picked out a bunch of different lawnfawn inks in these kind of pretty springy colors. You could really pick out any colors that you want, just kind of get a beautiful rainbow of inks. And these are the ones that I chose. And next up, Miles and I decided to do some upcycling here. So this is the packaging that comes with some of our die sets. I like to save those bags and reuse them to create my own palette. So what I did was I just trimmed down a piece of white cardstock to be the same size as the bag, and I'm just going to feed that into the bag. And then I can go ahead and just close up the bottom, and this is going to make a nice little palette, and it's a really nice way to reuse some things that you might have in your craft room and make them crafty. And so by using the plastic, now it's kind of like a little palette and I can smear my inks onto this. And so that's what we're going to do now. All of those inks that Miles showed you earlier, we're going to smear them onto the palette. And so I'm just going to pull off the lid and then just kind of smear it right onto that plastic piece and create this fun palette of inks that we're going to watercolor with. And this is a really cool way to use your inks in a little bit of a different way. I do a lot of ink blending. It was really fun to get to use these inks in this fun watercolor way instead. And then so Miles and I just put a little bit of water into a cup, and then we're just going to take out a paintbrush and we're going to dip the paintbrush into the water and then pick up some of the ink from the palette. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. No matter how you do it, it's going to look just beautiful. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of this purple and just add that into the upper corner and then just kind of smear it around. And I am definitely not a watercolor artist at all. I just think it's so much fun to play with my inks and brushes and create beautiful backgrounds. And so that's what I did here, was just I just just kept smearing my ink and kind of overlapping them, adding water to help blend them together, and then just kind of going through the rainbow to make sure that they would blend together nicely. So I did some pink, some peach, some yellow, some orange, and then I'm bringing in my greens and blues and just kind of blend all these colors together. Sometimes I would need a little bit more of one color, so I would just take the ink pad and smear it right back onto the palette, and I kept just going back and layering the colors until I thought it looked really pretty and perfect for my butterflies. And so this is a fun way to create a sky. You could do greens and blues to create your own sky, or create these beautiful rainbow backgrounds for any of your scenes or your die cuts. I went ahead and added just a little bit more ink to kind of help fill in the areas, and a little bit more purple up there to the top. And then now I can just take a cloth and wipe off this whole palette, and it's going to be ready to use again for another card to do some watercoloring or fun ink smooshing techniques or whatever you might be wanting to get inky with that day. So next up, I loved how Audrey did these really amazing gold splatters. It's going to go along with some of the other gold metallic details we're going to do. So I took some of this gold paint here, added some water. I'm going to pick it up with my paintbrush and tap it. I always like to tap it off to the side on my scratch paper a little bit first to make sure it's looking how I want it to look. And then I can go ahead and just tap it onto my paper. And I'm just going to get some nice pretty gold splatters all throughout this watercolor. I then heat set this piece with my heat tool to let it all dry, and then I went ahead and die cut both the base and the outline of the butterfly border with some white cardstock. But before I add it on there, I want to do some heat embossing. And this was the first time that Miles ever got to heat emboss, so it was really exciting. And so here I have this new sentiment set, which is the Henry's Build a Sentiment Bunny Puns, and it has a Feel Better in there. And so we're going to stamp that onto this card. So I prepped this whole thing with my anti-static powder tool. I inked up my sentiment in some clear embossing ink, which is a nice sticky ink. And then we're going to go ahead and sprinkle on some gold heat embossing powder, and then we can just tap off any of the excess. And by using some gold heat embossing powder, it's going to go along with those gold splatters that we did. And then I'm going to heat it up with my heat tool, and now you just need to take a listen to what Miles said the first time he saw heat embossing happening, because it's so cute. Isn't that pretty?
It's magical!
It's magic! And then we go from the back, and then, oh, gorgeous, right? I agree with Miles. It is magical. I never get over how fun and beautiful heat embossing is. So here we have that border cut out of white cardstock, both in the solid and the outline. And so we're going to add some tape runner to the back of the solid one, and we're going to layer that onto the card here, just kind of a little bit at a diagonal and kind of surrounding that sentiment. And then once we have that down, we can go ahead and just trim off any of the excess on the side of the card. Then for the outline, we're actually going to pop it up. And so on the back of all of the little centers of the butterfly, I'm just going to add a little bit of a foam strip. I'm just trimming them down to be the perfect size so that we get this really cool popped detail. And then just like before, we can use our scissors to just trim off any of the excess of the outline butterfly border too. Now the next thing we need to do is create the butterfly bodies. And so for the butterfly bodies, we're going to end up using some gold metallic cardstock to go along with our gold splatters and our gold heat embossing. And I think this is going to be so beautiful. I think every time I do the butterfly body, I might have to do it out of this gold metallic because it's just gorgeous. And so we're going to add a little drop of glue into the center of the body of the butterfly, and then we can just layer the little detailed piece on top. Then next here I have a standard size card base that's 5.5 by 4.25, and then I have some gold sparkle cardstock. And so I'm just going to trim down this piece to be about 1/2 inch or so. And then I'm just kind of seeing how tall I want it to be on my card, and I'm going to trim this down to about 4.75 inches. And Audrey does this a lot on her card. She does a little peek of something out on the side, whether it's some sparkle cardstock or washi tape or pattern paper, and I think it is such a cool look, and I love doing it too. And so I'm going to add some of that sparkle cardstock there onto the left side, and then we'll be able to layer this whole panel over top of that. And Miles and I added a bunch of foam squares to the back. My paper was a little bit warped from all the water we had added to it, so all these foam squares are going to help hold it in place. And plus, they're fun to put on. Miles just loves foam squares, and he has since he was so little. And so we're going to go ahead and layer this piece right on top of that card base, and the little sparkle piece peeking out is so pretty. The watercolor background is so much fun, and that butterfly border, oh my gosh, it just has my my heart. It's just so beautiful and so stunning. And next up, Shari is going to be combining this really fun butterfly border with our Bitsy Bloom paper and our new Build-A-Bunny die. So take it away, Shari.
So for my card today, I'm using a combination of the Bitsy Blooms Petite paper pack, which has those really small patterns, along with the Bitsy Blooms 12 by 12 sheets. These are the same patterns, but they are twice as big, so we're going to have some bigger flowers in our background and some bigger patterns on our frame. So I'll be using that fun white with the rainbow hatching on it to create a scalloped square frame. And I also cut down a piece of the blue with the little daisies for my background. I am using the new butterfly border die today, and I've cut the solid butterflies from some of the petite paper pack paper, so we have that fun pattern. And then I used some spiffy speckles for the frames that layer over top. To layer the two pieces of the butterfly border together, I'm adding some liquid glue to the center of each butterfly, as well as some little dots of glue around the outside edges. You could also cut the frame from some cardstock or paper that has some double-sided adhesive on it, which would make it really easy to glue to the solid piece as well. You can see that I also have some individual butterflies here. The die comes with a border as well as a single butterfly, and I'll be using both of these on my card today. This die also creates the little body of the butterfly. I've cut a bunch of those from some storm cloud cardstock, and I've just added a dot of glue in the center of each butterfly to add the little body. I will go ahead and add bodies to the entire border as well, even though my card is not as wide as this border and some will get trimmed off. I do like that this die will cut multiple bodies at once, so you don't have to run this through too many times to cut all your butterflies. Now I am creating a Build-A-Bunny for my card. This will be a sitting bunny, so I want to trim off these little feet so that I can put those big feet that you see there at the bottom. The body is cut from some Narwhal cardstock. Then I have dolphin cardstock for the little belly. For the face, I have all those pieces that layer on the back side. The ears are cut from Ballet Slipper cardstock, the eyes are storm cloud, and the nose is black licorice. Once I have the little face assembled, I can add it to the body, putting some glue above that little score line. Then I have my cute little feet that we can see the bottom of the feet. And I have the paws, or the part that layers behind the back so you can see the paws, from that same Ballet Slipper cardstock. I'm just adding a little bit of glue, and you saw I spread it out with my finger a little bit to make it nice and thin. And I just think that this is so cute, those little bunny feet. Now we can add these to the body right where we cut off those other little feet. They're going to go right on the left and right of that little belly. And then you can see I have the little arms that fold in and hold things, but I changed my mind and decided I wanted the arms that stick out because I want one of the little butterflies to be landing on his paw. So now I can take one of those single butterflies and add that to that left paw of my little bunny. And it's fun to kind of fold these up and just glue the body down. It gives them some nice dimension and makes them look 3D. So now to move on to my card base, I have a card base that is 4.5 by 4.5, and I'm just adding my blue background paper. It is cut a little bit smaller so that it does not peek out from the side of the frame. I wanted to pop the frame up, so I put some thin foam strips around all four sides, and then I'll just add this to my card, and it gives it a really nice dimensional frame. Now I wanted to add my butterfly border along the bottom, overlapping the frame that's popped up. So I'm adding some foam squares to the back of my butterflies, and then I'll add a little bit of liquid glue where those butterflies touch that frame. Then I can just pull off all those little liner papers from those foam squares and line this up across the bottom of my card. Once that border is in place, I can take my scissors, and I find this a little easier to do with some longer scissors. I'm going to trim that off lined up with the edge of the card. Now I do have these little pieces here at the edge now, and I want to make sure those are nice and tacked down so they don't catch on an envelope or anything. So I'll just add a little bit of liquid glue right behind those little butterfly pieces right on the edge. Now I can add my little bunny, so I will put foam squares all over the back of him as well, and put him like he is sitting in a field of butterflies. I also have those other two single butterflies. I cut three. I'm going to fold them in the center at the body so the wings kind of pop up, and then I will add them with a foam square as well, overlapping the frame so it matches the border at the bottom. For this sentiment, I wanted to keep it nice and simple, and I pulled out the spring basket stamp set and used the sentiment that says Happy Spring. So I'm stacking that on one on top of the other so it fits in this corner nicely, and I'll just stamp that in some black ink right up there in the top left corner. To add a little more pop of color, I am going to die cut some hearts out of guava cardstock using the hearts from the Hearts and Stars skinny tag die. I like that this cuts 3 different sizes. They make the perfect little embellishments to scatter around your card. Finally, I can add some glitter accents to the bodies of the butterflies as well as the hearts. I also thought that the bunny's face and shape would stand out a little bit more if I added some white gel pen highlights. So I'm doing that to the edges of my little bunny's face and body. And then here is my finished card, and I just think it turned out so cute. I love that butterfly border.
Oh my goodness, Shari, this card is too cute. I just love the bunny with all the butterflies. It just makes me smile. And next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team, and this one by Mindy is so beautiful. I love how she turned the butterflies into monarch butterflies. This card by Lynette is so sweet. She used the new Bitsy Bloom paper, and I love how she made each butterfly a different color. This card by Letitia is just stunning. I love the beautiful pattern paper behind the butterflies. Oh my gosh, it's just beautiful. And here is the card by Audrey that inspired us to make ours today, and wow, it is just so beautiful. This card by Grace is too cute. It uses the new Bitsy Blooms paper, and then it uses our brand new Build-A-Bunny in the watering can, and I just love it. I love how Elise made a custom name banner. Oh my gosh, isn't this so cute with the daisy paper and her die-cut daisies layered over top? I think this is so fun and would be such a lovely gift. This card by Mindy is too cute. I love how she combined our awesome Butterfly Kisses stamp set with the butterfly border. They are a perfect match. This card here by Elena has all of our brand new beautiful paper mixed and matched with our Build-A-Bunny, and I think it is so sweet. And here we have another cute little Build-A-Bunny sitting on top of these butterflies. Oh, I just love it. And then we have some stunning layouts by Melissa using the new Bitsy Blooms paper. It's so gorgeous for spring layouts, and I think it looks so pretty with the butterfly border layered over top of these squares. I love the stitching detail that she added too. And then this layout is just beautiful. All the different rows of the Bitsy Bloom paper just makes me ready for spring. It's so adorable and so sweet. And oh my goodness, we can't wait to see all of your beautiful floral projects using Bitsy Blooms and all of your butterfly borders and your cute washi tape cards. So make sure to share them with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!